So someone asked me the other day how much it cost us for IVF, and we only did one retrieval and one transfer because we were lucky that our first transfer took. But anyways, I told them it was just under $30,000, and they were like, "Oh, my daughter can't afford that." Do you think we could afford it? No, we just figured it out.
Hi friends, so this is going to be a quick breakdown on how much we've paid out of pocket for IVF. We did switch clinics, so when you switch clinics, you have to do a quick intro, which is around $250. Essentially, they just get to know you, you get to know them. They do have to do an HCG and a trial transfer, so that's around $935. We do have our embryos in long-term embryo storage, so we pay for that. And so we had to pay for a shipment fee for them to receive our embryos, which was around $125, and also for the embryo long-term storage for them to ship it, which was around $250. So for that, that's around $375 just for embryo, managing all of that. And then for all the meds, it's going to be around $700 for estrogen patches, progesterone oil, and also vaginal progesterone. Plus, also, I did have to order more progesterone patches because I was going farther along. So that was also around $382. So total for the first transfer was around $5,000. Sadly, we did miscarry at 5 weeks and 5 days. So we had to do that all over again. So I did do one, I think 2 months after. Another transfer. We did have other meds from our first transfer. So total for that was around $2,770. And then we did miscarry again. And so that was around at 5 weeks and 5 days as well. So we decided to take a pause and take a couple months. I did do a hysteroscopy because I do have a uterine septum. They did work on that at my first clinic, but they felt that maybe that could have been the cause. So that was $800 for them to do that. And then I decided to do a third transfer, and we did have some leftover meds. So total for that was around $3,150. And then sadly, that was a failed transfer. So I decided to do some testing. So the testing was for inflammation and endometriosis. So total for that and the biopsy from my clinic was $1,936. And then going into our fourth transfer, it is going to be a modified natural transfer, which is going to be around $2,700. So total for what we've paid out of pocket is going to be around $16,500. I know that's not a lot of money for everyone going through egg retrievals and multiple transfers, but it is still a lot of money where people get to, just have kids for free technically. So I don't take this for granted. We are very fortunate that we can pay for it. So I just wanted to be transparent on how much we paid.
A lot of you guys have been asking me how much IVF costs. We're in Minnesota, and the clinic that we're going to has a base starting point of $16,260. That includes one cycle of retrieval and one cycle of transfer. For my clinic, I think it is standard to do ICSI and assisted hatching, which are two things that a lot of other clinics usually put as an add-on. You have to qualify for their warranty program, and it's basically a program where you get a number of tries, and if it all fails, you get some money back. Luckily, we did qualify. We decided to do it. As you know, IVF is a gamble. It cost $42,000. It includes 3 retrievals and transfers, and they do ICSI and assisted hatching and all of those. There will be other costs and fees that you have to pay for out of pocket if your insurance doesn't cover, for example, the IVF stim medications, transfer prep medications, all the labs, and all the ultrasound and imaging that you do. If you have insurance and they say that they don't cover any fertility stuff, I recommend that you still give your insurance information to your clinic, because they'll always bill your insurance first. And if it doesn't go through on your insurance side, you'll get a bill. And some things you might even cover for. It doesn't hurt. Long story short, our whole warranty program and all of the extra things that we had to pay on top, we calculated $61,000 and some change. All of the costs can be really confusing because everybody's protocol is different, but that is what mine is. And if you have any other questions, feel free to reach out.
Okay, I'm glad you guys qualified, but just think, you guys are spending all this money to have them, and I hope you guys have them and everything goes successful, but I'm just saying, it's going to take even more money to take care of them. But if you guys are doing IVFs and you guys are comfortably doing IVFs, then you can afford kids, no problem. Let's look at this next clip though.
Hey guys, so not doing well this morning. I got my financial estimate last night, and it's going to be anywhere from $14,000 to $24,000 out of pocket for IVF. I knew IVF was expensive, but I'm still like really blown away by those numbers. I'm gonna meet with my financial coordinator this week to see if I can get a better insurance plan. Like, I don't know if there are insurance plans that cover medications, but I can start a new insurance plan come January. Open enrollment's gonna start in November. But if this is the best that I can get, then I'm just gonna have to put it on like credit cards and apply for loans. Like, I don't really know what to do. I have no money. Like, literally I'm in debt from paying for my IUIs. I have no idea what to do. I've never taken a loan out. I don't own this house. So I guess we just like are going to use this month to apply for loans and ask family for money. I really don't know. No one has money in my family anyway. So yeah, I'm just gonna, we're gonna do it. I'm not gonna wait. I'm not gonna save up for it. Like, I can't even save any money right now. I'm so backtracked. Like, so we're just gonna do it. But like, medications are not covered at all. So like, medications are evidently anywhere from like $5,000 to $12,000. Frozen embryos transfer is not covered. That's like $5,000. PGTA testing isn't covered. I wasn't expecting that to be covered. So eventually that's gonna be like, you know, I think it was like $2,700 per embryo or something. I don't know. So I'm just gonna apply for loans this month and like talk to my coordinator on Wednesday, and then at that point I'll decide if we're just gonna jump in and put everything on credit cards, I guess, and like payment plans. Like, I assume you can just payment plan everything, but like, I just can't believe that we're gonna have to pay like, and I know it's that expensive in the US, it sucks, but like, I'm just at a loss for words, and like, I just can't afford any of this, and we're gonna do it somehow. We're gonna make it work, and I'm just so scared and stressed, and it's just insane. Like, I think they're covering a good portion of it, but I don't know. So on Wednesday, I'll know if I'm starting in November or if I'm going to start in the new year in January, if I can get a better insurance plan. So if you're in Illinois and you have IVF covered, like your medications, let me know, because I can't pay $5,000 to $12,000 to get my medications by this week. Like, it just, I don't know. So I'm just really upset and processing that. And when people tell you that IVF is like $40,000, they're not lying. And I knew that, but yeah. Anyway, I'm gonna enjoy being outside with my dogs and try to calm down and take this month to figure out my finances.
So I saw a video the other day and I just can't get it out of my head. And there was this doctor who was talking about that the reason why IVF costs in America are so expensive is because of insurance. And I don't quite understand it. So if you can explain it better to me, that would be great. But in my head, I'm like, it can't be insurance, because even if you're doing a cash pay rate, it's so freaking expensive. So if you're taking insurance out of that equation, why are you saying that insurance is the reason why IVF in America is so expensive? If you would have told me that it was the cost of equipment or something like that, that I'd believe. But saying that IVF in America is so expensive because of insurance, yet so many people are not using insurance because they don't have fertility benefits with their insurance. Like, I just don't understand that connection. So if you can explain that to me, I'd really appreciate it, because I don't get it.
I hear you, my sister. She wants answers. This next clip is very helpful. She's going to do a breakdown of the IVF cost. Let's get right into it.
Okay, so I decided to sit down and give a little bit of a cost breakdown with you guys about everything I have paid towards IVF so far, because when I found out I had to do IVF, these type of videos were very helpful for me because it just gives you like a good understanding of the costs you need to expect, because I know for sure I didn't think of every last thing I'd need to pay for going into this. So obviously the total outcome for everybody is going to be different, right? Because different insurance policies, different medications, different clinics, you know, whatever. But this is just my base. So for a frame of reference, I am going through the Fertility Centers of Illinois. I see Dr. Rogers. She's actually on TikTok and is pretty famous on here, which was a coincidence to me, but worked out in my favor. Anyways, to initially get in the door to start seeing her, I had to pay $250 for my first consult, which at that time I would have given her every last dollar in my bank account, because 5 doctors before her gave me an ultrasound, pushed me out the door, and told me I was fine. And it would have been worth it to pay thousands of dollars just to be heard at that point, because I knew something was wrong with me and nobody listened. So it was nice to finally have someone who listened. So yes, $250, well worth it. After that, I went through all of my bills and statements and added up for all of the ultrasounds, my HSG, all my blood work, and that all came up to $1,200. After that, I obviously had to get my surgery. I had to get both of my tubes removed. And an important note for that is that my surgery and my start of my first round were only 3 weeks apart. So by the time that I had to pay for my financial approval to, you know, pay off all my IVF cycle for the first round, all of the bills for my surgery came through at that time. So I had to pay everything all at once. So this is a pretty big, hefty bill, but that's because I had to pay all of that at one time. So that came out to $6,000 that I had to pay. Which again, that covers all of the observation for the IVF, and it would have made my account current with the surgery and all those appointments that went with it before. That same day, I had to make the deposit to make sure that we can freeze all of the extra embryos that we got through that cycle. And that was $965, which I always assumed it was going to be way more than that, like $2,000-$3,000. So $965 felt pretty fair. After that initial deposit, you pay $80 a month to like just maintain with the freezing costs every month. We didn't have to worry about that because we didn't have any embryos to freeze. So that does roll over to this cycle. We won't have to pay that deposit again. It's already taken care of with that last payment. I then obviously paid for my first round of meds, and we went through Freedom Fertility, which I've had a really good experience with them so far, and they have been the most affordable. I was originally quoted when I called them at $2,000, and I did call around to like 4 or 5 other clinics, and that was the cheapest. That $2,000 was the cheapest. But when I did call to order my medication, it appeared that the person who gave me that quote originally didn't run my insurance. So they gave me the out-of-pocket quote, and I actually only ended up paying $400, which was a very, very pleasant surprise. Because when you call somewhere expecting to spend $2,000 and now I have to pay $1,600 less, that was beautiful. So that was for my first round. My second round of meds were only $199, which again, beautiful, incredible, amazing. After that, I have only had like one appointment that fell into like that weird time after my first cycle, but before this cycle, so it didn't get covered by like those observation fees that I paid, and that was like a $50 copay. And then I also included and added up all of the like little miscellaneous things that I have bought for IVF to become more comfy and cute for me. So like my tackle box, my lidocaine cream, my gauze, my cute little band-aids, that all came up to $150. Not included in this is I did buy myself like a lot of supplements, and yeah, I didn't add that in, but I'm taking like CoQ10 now. I'm taking a luminary vitamin, and a few other things. I can't even think off the top of my head, but I didn't include any of those costs. But for all of that I just talked about, it came out to $9,200. That is a lot of money. Do not get me wrong. I'm not in any way saying that that's cheap. I definitely didn't just have almost $10,000 just lying around waiting for me to pay this. especially when, you know, I had my first baby for free. So having a second one and needing to pay almost $10,000 just to conceive it is absolutely insane to think about. And it's so messed up. But when I was expecting to pay like $20,000, $30,000, $9,200 seems pretty nice. Another thing is that I met my like insurance. I don't know if it's maximum or minimum, forgive me. But with my first IVF cycle and that original payment that I made, it met that maximum or minimum or whatever for out-of-pocket costs. So this cycle was completely covered. And the good thing about my insurance too is that it does cover 4 rounds a year. So God forbid this one also does not work, I do get 2 more chances that will be completely covered by insurance. So that is really nice. But yeah, this was kind of just a little cost breakdown, and hopefully other girls have been able to make this more affordable for themselves too. But I've definitely heard a lot of horror stories about how expensive this is. And I know it's just so crazy. And I am definitely very grateful that we've been able to have a more affordable experience for us.
It's so expensive. So individuals who have infertility or cannot reproduce on their own, whether because they are LGBTQ or they just don't have the organs or bodies, or they have had cancer before, they are going to have to use reproductive technology. And it's really sad how ridiculously expensive it is. So there is a lot of social economic barriers. These IVF medications cost $10,000. And I worked forever to get my medical school health insurance to pay for all of them until I found out there was a state mandate that makes insurances from schools or employments pay for it.
Thank you, Dr. Moss. Now, apparently this guy is saying you can get help from your job with an IVF. I don't know how true this is, but let's see what he got to say.
There's $7,500 a year up for grabs from your job to use for IVF every single year. It's a difficult thing to go through, and people struggle. It's very expensive, right? And a lot of people are unaware of how to get this money from your job. Let's get into it. Every employee that has access to benefits in America has the ability to enroll what's known as flexible spending accounts. And people automatically assume it's for glasses, right? Flexible spending accounts can be used for many things like suntan lotion, medical co-pays, right? But specifically what I want to talk about and educate people on is that you could use it for IVF treatment. How it works is you just enroll. So in, say, open enrollment 26, you would elect, I want to use $7,500 in 27. So you get a $7,500 tax deduction. So that's nice in itself, right? You get to use pre-tax money, you get that tax deduction. And then when you do your IVF, for whatever expense it is, you just save your receipt, you submit it, and then you get $7,500 tax-free reimbursed. So not only do you get that $7,500 tax deduction, but when you spend the money, you just submit the receipts, you get $7,500 back tax-free. So it's a huge win for taxes, and also helps assist with your IVF cost, total cost. And again, this isn't something that's common knowledge. A lot of people are unaware of it. I wrote a book called Covered, goes over all the insurance hacks. I spent 20 years in the insurance game, and it took me a lot to learn. And I recently left the industry last year after 20 years to do this, to write books. I have a 5-book series called Not Born Rich. It teaches you everything that was never taught of how to make money, how to protect yourself, how to really get ahead. It's written for people who make under $150,000 a year. 90% of the US population. Nobody cares about that market. Financial services company don't care. Think about it. You've been to a bank. When's the last time they told you, come here with our financial advisor? But if you had $200,000 sitting in your checking account, they would roll out the red carpet. Nobody cares about people who make less than $150,000 a year from a financial services perspective to take as clients. So I wrote these books. Check it out. They're on Amazon, Not Born Rich series. This book specifically called Covered. But IVF is expensive, and it's an amazing resource for people. You might as well take advantage of your employer benefit to help with some of the costs. Send this to somebody who's going through IVF or wants to.
I'm just laying here thinking, like, it is a shame how much this IVF process costs. You know what I mean? Like, not thank God, but fortunately, when my grandmother passed, she left me some money, and we put every last dime into it just for this. But you know, people deserve to have kids. Like, if you're in a good, stable environment and, like, you're ready to have a child, like, you should be able to. Like, it's a shame. And I'm not just talking about, you know, lesbians or gay couples or anything like that. I'm talking about, like, just people with flat out fertility issues. Like, that's just not fair. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. Just a rant. Thanks.
You laying there thinking why it's so expensive got me sitting here thinking, hey, if you can't afford IVF, you probably can't afford a child. I don't want to say that because you can, I mean, comfortably afford a child. Give the child the best opportunity in your life because children are expensive. Trust me, I know. I got 2 and I'm through. I got 2 and there's nothing else that I need to do. I'm done, okay? But look here, man, this Josh from Talk to Him. Boy, if y'all know anybody who's going through this crazy, this madness, drop it down in the comments. Are you going through it? Do you want IVF? If you get it, people who do it, they have money. I get that. Get your money, do your thing. Do it. Kids are a blessing. I get it. Also, if you want to know something that's even crazier, once you do have kids, or if you do have kids, daycare. If you guys want to see that madness, click right here. It's Josh from Talk to Him. When I just talked to you, boy. Peace.